Hello, hello, hello. Happy Sunday, everybody. Day before Labor Day in the USA. But we still got to prep because the futures markets are open in just under 2 hours. And trading in Asia and Europe as normal. We have to do the responsible thing and still do our market prep. Let's see who's here. Hello, hello, George. Here we go. Good afternoon, Davey. Good afternoon, Patrick. News on BBVY CFO. If some people didn't hear, he jumped out of his New York City apartment, killing himself. He was also named in a lawsuit about a pump and dump scheme about a week ago. A lot going on with BBBY. Also, them announcing their 150 short store shutdown. Sorry, had a little trouble saying that for some reason, but that is sad news. I didn't leave a note behind. Good afternoon, AP's World. Coco, really bullish or bearish this week? I'll go over the key levels. Overall, I'm bearish. We especially since we didn't trigger that buy signal on Friday. Lots as I was going to do a little bonus stuff looking at some of the top stocks in the S&P. Also, I have not put up a sector overview. I was thinking of actually recording that live if people want to do that tomorrow morning, and because there's going to be I could do a brief live stream just on the overnight futures in the European session. But if you want me to do a sector overview live, let me know, and maybe I will. We'll kick that off tomorrow morning just because it's a holiday. We could do one and see where we go from there. But if there's no if people don't want to see that, then you know what? I'll just take the morning off. Happy Sunday, options 22. First thing to share, I think I spotted an inverse head and shoulders on the yield curve with a target back to 0. Which yield curve? Which one? Because there's multiple yield curves. Which one are you talking about? What I talked about also is futures open tonight at the normal time, except if you're trading lumber or livestock, they are closed. So equities, cryptos, interest rates, FX, energy, all open at 5 Central, which is an hour and 50 minutes from now. They are halted early, so they trade overnight. They are halted at noon tomorrow Central Time. Why are we on Central Time again? Because the CME is also located in Central Time, and so am I, and I will stick to the CME times for this. So futures close early for equities. Cryptos close at 4 and then reopen at 5. Not much there. Interest rates also noon stopping time. FX still 4. And then energy 1:30. And then don't reopen back till 6:30. And then 5, sorry. 5. I was looking at the wrong thing. 5 again. 5, everything opens again tomorrow night. So normal opening time, just like normal opening time for the stuff we follow tonight. Just wanted to point that out again. Also, let me just close down a couple things. And let's see, if you are new here, please do consider subscribing, ringing that bell, and hitting the like button. Longer term subscribers, you know what to do. The 12-2 yield or the 10-2 yield. So, all right. This week, let's see what we have coming up. We'll take a look at that 10-2 yield. Tomorrow, again, Labor Day in the USA. Not much going on. The big things I'm watching for are more to the end of the week. We got the ECB rate decision on Thursday and Powell speaking. We've got lots of Fed speakers too. Tuesday, however, we have non-manufacturing PMI. Going to see if that's still strong. Manufacturing PMI was actually still stronger from last week. And we got the global services PMI. So that's 15 minutes after the open and 30 minutes after the open on Tuesday. And also we'll look at the prices paid component of that. That's really it for Tuesday. Wednesday, we got the mortgage stuff, which the market's pretty much shrugging that off. But we got one Fed speaks. And we got Fed Beige Book on Wednesday. We do have 2 Fed speaks. We got also Fed bar speaking. So Wednesday's sort of a pausing day. Thursday we have continuing and initial jobless claims, but we got the big thing is Powell's speech, which this is I think the final one before the rate hike decision for him. Then we got our EIA numbers and in the afternoon consumer credit. And then Friday we have wholesale inventories and Waller speaking. But Thursday's a big day. Also ECB rate hike decision. So do keep that in mind. S&P 500 map, just a recap, pretty red and bloody except for energy on Friday. Fed watch. I don't know why that disappeared, but it was. Let's just bring this back on. I know we're still in negative gamma in case that disappears too. It probably will. Yeah, I'll have to fix that in a second. Don't know why that refreshed, but 57%. Coming back a little bit just with that 75 basis point hike. So that's where we sit off of there. I mean, we're either going to be the 50 or 75. Unless we see some real bad numbers, I'm still thinking that we're going to edge towards that 75. Also for the our gamma. For our gamma, we are still deeply in negative territory, which amplifies the up and down moves. Earnings. I know some people look at Coupa and GitLab, minor stuff right there. Academy Sports on Wednesday. After we got GameStop. I know there's not a lot of GameStop traders here, but that will be interesting. American Eagle Outfitters, Dave and Buster's. There's not a lot of huge names doing. DocuSign on Thursday, and Zscaler Restoration Hardware will be interesting with that one, and Kroger Friday. And we're pretty much done with earnings season. So that's wrapping up that for the week. Cohen is responsible for the death of the CFO. I wouldn't go that far, Coco. I mean, we don't have a lot of information, but I mean, Cohen did a lot with the stock and everything else, but who's responsible for the CFO's death is the CFO jumping out the window. Now, there's a lot of stuff surrounding that company. It's just more bad news, and I think it's going to go to zero. There's going to be bankruptcy. Let's see. This again, Friday, we're watching for that continuation buy coming up to rotation zone and slamming back down. Key line in the sand, 38.99. Also, we have yet to close below the breakout area, so keep that in mind. So we get a close below this breakout area from the end of June. That's pretty much going to be probably close below that 62.5. Favoring the low, return to the lows, and I'm expecting those lows to get taken out. But that's the key pivot point, especially with that little blip up return. The only thing that could get me in bullish mode short term, we talked about Friday, was this little micro double bottom. But that's a 4,019.25 closing price on at least a 4-hour or a 1-hour basis. Didn't we close below the 62.5 level on Tesla? Yes. Yes, that is correct on the short-term move. Yes, options 22. Tesla did close below that. We will peek in at Tesla. Let me just sort through. Then I want to look at some of the components of the spiders just to take a macro snapshot, because I like to, since stuff's so correlated to these larger stocks, we're going to peek in at some of those if you want to. If not, I can end this early. So back to the S&P, we virtually closed that final target. We might even hit that overnight. I'm really now focused on the 62.5 level, this 38.99, but I'm leaving this on for the point of completeness. On any rally overnight with this minor stuff, I'm watching this breakdown zone. About 39.61. And that's in the middle of the 4-hour rotation zone. So on any rally overnight and tomorrow morning, I'm watching for a rotation in the 4-hour rotation zone. NASDAQ, also a little 4-hour double bottom, would need a close above 12,461.50. So we're a long way off from there. The minor stuff I'll be keeping an eye on for overnight, and tomorrow morning is 12,260 virtually, and then again the 4 hour rotation zone. So that's on any bullish move that's up. If we do break below the lows back on September 1st, 11,906 to 11,867 is the next target down. Dow, same thing, double bottom, needs a close, 32,029 on a 1 or 4 hour basis. Other than that, you have 31,159 to 31,157 for the final target. It's literally a stone's throw away. Those I've considered pretty much hit. With this area, if we do break down, the next key level is about 30,943 overnight. Again, 4 hour rotation zone, and the breakdown level about 31,583. Russell also double. Need a close above 1849. Minor level. Russell actually was a little stronger bounce, but 1820 with the rotation zone. Breakdown below the lows from the first. I'd be targeting 1787 and then 1775. That's a little farther off from the head and shoulders. DAX, strong reversal. Now remember, that pretty much reversed US Open, but I'm watching now for a rollover play again. We haven't hit the 87.5 to the 100%, which we do favor from that close below the 62.5. So I'm still watching for another rollover play after this return to the rotation zone. Major resistance coming in right about 1396 to 13,096 to about 13,173. So I'll be watching if it does push higher tonight for the rollover play in there. Notes. Triggered a little bounce buy, so I am keying off of a return into the daily rotation zone. And if it does get a little bigger rally, would be about 117.18. I'm then watching for the rollover play because we should probability-wise hit this 115.07. So this bounce with this aggressive buy signal would only be for short-term plays. And my first key area, we do have a gap fill here. We do still have the gap fill here. You can see it on the day, and that would be to 116.28. We closed at 116.21, and then right above that, my next target is 117.01. But those are for only rollover plays. Again, after we do have a potential double bottom on here, and I'll go with the conservative targets. We don't know what those are yet, so I'm just putting this as a placeholder. Dollar index. Really interesting because we'll get a topping pattern sell signal with cycles still back at the top range on a close below Friday's low, which would also be the close below the rotation zone. Then we'd be watching for the bigger pullback into the rotation zone. Other than that, on the next push higher, if we do break out our major topping area about 110.13 to 110.29, crude, we do have a little double bottom, 89.66. We have an OPEC meeting also tomorrow. I forgot to mention that OPEC meeting, so we could see a little pop if they say we're going to scale back with some production stuff, blah, 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 blah. 4 or 1 hour close above 89.66, 91.50, 92.42, 93.32. That would just be a short-term bounce play. If we break below the lows from mid-August, though, two levels I'm watching, 83.67, 81.69. Then the major level is the 77.66. By the way, I did record the Jim Iorio Futures Ed podcast. That should be coming out tomorrow morning. I talked about natural gas on there. Not going to spoil that, but I'm watching for a pullback, then a rotation back up. Take a look if I do a live stream tomorrow morning. I probably will. Did not get any feedback over the sector overview, so maybe I guess I'll probably just record one myself. Let's see. US dollar, Japanese yen. Slight pausing bar up here in very overbought condition with cycles at the top. Can't get overly watching for the bigger pullback until we get a close below about 138.93. Then we'll be watching for the bigger pullback. No divergence up here, interesting enough, on the daily, so we might just get a minor pullback to test the rotation zone. Euro, big reversal. Expecting us to break down below this triple bottom 99.20 area, and my next major target is 98.50. So we had Tesla, which is one of the major components in the S&P. We have on this aspect not this bigger aspect. We did close on the smaller time frame. The big close I'm watching for is the 247.29 on the 62.5. Now, from this other run-up, we did close below the 62.5 if you use this little recent swing. So based off this recent swing, which reinforces the 87.5 to 100% range, which keeps going with the double top. The double top is really the thing to watch for on this. Coming up, we even rotated back down. Key resistance, I went over this also, watching for the return to the breakdown zone and the candle bodies. That's where I watched for the return. We had a little gap up there and then rolled over on Friday. Still, my target area, the first target from the double is 262.23, and the 50% retracements just below that, 260.76. Definitely aggressive lower stop there. Definitely an area. Then 253.36, 245.10, but right in front of that is 247.29. You get the close below that. That then favors a return to 220. So do keep that in mind. Bearish price action, Tesla, a mega cap in the SPY with a bearish price action. All right? So there's your Tesla. Any rallies would be back resistance 281 to about 285. So any rallies, that's a sell zone at this point. Let's just take a look at a couple of the other components in here. I mean, Apple, remember, finished the head and shoulders pattern. What's interesting is this. Again, that's 7% of this SPY. We're still into a clear path move. Favoring virtually the end of the clear path move is the 50%. An interesting day trade, by the way, is a break below about 155, 155.10 to target 152.60. End of the clear path, filled this gap. So that's what I'm keeping an eye on for a day trade. Now, in here between 152.60 and 146.71 is a potential reversal pattern. You get the close below 146.71 would be also very, very bearish for the S&P. 7%. You get the close below that. That favors a retest of the June lows. So really watch for that after this pullback trade. But Apple's holding up one of the best. Still 7% of the S&P. What are some of the other ones? We have stuff like Microsoft. Why this is important. Microsoft virtually, I'm calling this hit. But bigger importance is you got the close below 62.5. So what does that mean? Even on rallies, Microsoft should still now trade down to 247.30 to the June lows. Microsoft making up 5.85%. Please keep that in mind. So you have the lower of Microsoft still after hitting all the targets. I'm just calling this hit pretty much. Hitting these targets on this bearish move. We still have more bearish potential even on bounces. Again, 5.85%. Amazon bouncing off the 50%. Coming up, returning to the daily rotation zone, rotating back down. I'm still watching for bearish price action. Yes, this is a clear path move. A gap is a clear path. We also bounced off the dual breakout zone here. We start breaking down below about 124. I'm targeting 118.25, and the end of the clear path technically is right here, right behind that. But you get a close below 118.25, you then favor 106.92 return to. So keep a close eye on Amazon. Has not even full. This gap's still going to be a magnet on any breakdowns, and then we get that 118.25 level. I'd be marking these off and setting alerts on your charts. Amazon, 3.35% of the S&P. So if we start breaking down, Microsoft already hit that breakdown number, but Apple hits it, Amazon hits it. Tesla, the double top continues, is 2.08%. 2.08%. That's already in a double top pattern. We have a lot of boat anchors on the S&P. Now, Google, between their Class A, remember, there's two classes of Google stocks. Class A and Class C. So you have GOOGL and GOOG. GOOG. All right? They virtually trade the same. We're just going to look at Google, but between the two, you have 1.95 and 1.8%. So what is that? That's close to 4%. Just upwards 3.75% in Google. Why do I mention that? We're just going to do the analysis of GOOGL. Close below the 62.5. There is some support over here, but you have the declining rotation zone. This favors a return to 104.44 to 101.88. Negative price action, even on rallies. Negative boat anchor price action in Google. What else do we have? All right, I'm just Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire Hathaway making up 1.53%. Could not get back above the 200. Look, slamming into that 200. So 200 coming support, resistance, back broken here. So this is back to resistance, slamming in there. What did it do on Friday? Closed below that 62.5. Favors 269.24 to 263.68. There's another 1.53% of a boat anchor. Keep that in mind. United Health. I'm just going to go through a couple more. United Health holding up very well, but this is a sloppy topping pattern and starting to break down. Look at the selling pressure. Even though healthcare is still holding up a bit, we start getting down below 514. I'm expecting this to easily return to the 50 between the 62.5 with the magnet in the center, and you have a gap fill here. I'm expecting UNH to return to 495 to 500 in the short term. Boat anchor right there, gap magnet below that. Another 1.46% potential boat anchor to the downside. Then the key level, if it breaks to 200, watch for 488.49. By the way, UNH, now this isn't anywhere close to triggering, but look at that massive double top. If that triggers, we could easily see this back in the mid threes with the 200, and that's a longer term boat anchor. Just wanted to point that out. Fine, we'll just look at J&J. Johnson & Johnson, closed below the 62.5, favors a return to 156.77 to 152.84. Another 1.27% boat anchor. Finally, to round out the top 10, geez, blanked. Sorry about that. ExxonMobil. Now, ExxonMobil energy sector still holding up fairly well. Right now, I'm watching this key level. Let me take these off really quick. You see this low from September 1st? Keep an eye on that with the 50. If Exxon breaks down below that, we could easily see a bigger pullback, especially if we start getting a bigger breakdown in energy again. And then the key level is 88 on Exxon. Now, Exxon's 1.21%. That could still hold up even with the rest of the index. But if oil starts breaking down again, we have that meeting tomorrow with OPEC. We might get a short bounce, but if we get the other rollover play, because remember we have the weekly double top still in play, we could see Exxon turning into more of a boat anchor below 88.03. So lots of potential downside on these stocks. That's what I'm really starting to look at. I'm going through more and more of these big stocks. Number of them already triggered boat anchor patterns. And we could still see some other breakdowns in some of these other bigger ones. It could be very interesting rest of September, even if we get a bounce in here. Short docu before earnings. I mean, this is I am bearish on this. I am bearish on DocuSign still. You know, no P to E ratio. Do I know what they're going to do? I expect they're going to miss. Would I be shorting this? There's a breakdown play right now. So I'm targeting 46.31. Even on a gap, if it did gap up with a weird earnings number, it would just be then for a gap play. But overall, you see here on the weekly, return to that weekly rotation zone. So return to weekly rotation zone, sell-off, weekly rotation zone, sell-off, weekly rotation zone. We're on the sell-off. Next target, 40.31, and then right below that about 46.31. Then we got 43. So I'm targeting that 43 to 46 support level. This looks like gambling to me. Technical analysis isn't gambling. This is technical analysis. You put the probabilities. I would say stocks are gambling. Stocks aren't gambling. Gambling is the slot machine is gambling because you don't have any odds in your favor. Because there's no way. I mean, even blackjack you can put with card counting in your favor. Well, then this isn't the thing for you. This is not complex. This is actually, if you stick around for a while, it's actually not that complex. Love the sector analysis. An occasional live would be novel. Okay, thank you for that. What else do I want to look at? Let's just, again, tune into the VIX. The VIX, we came down with that double top pattern. Could not, not tradable and reversed off of there. So I'm just watching again with that return. The only thing that makes me short-term bullish is a break back below 25. All right, what else do we have? What else do we have? Not much yet going on in gold. A long way off from triggering something there. And I think that's about it that I wanted to look at. Oh, Bitcoin. Bitcoin, no, this is not a double bottom. It's a triple bottom. The only thing I'm watching for, so we do pop up with the thinner trading above about 20,411. It would only be a 20,834 before the next rotation back down. Remember that close below 62.5. Statistically, we favor 18,523 at least. And I'm expecting once the markets do break down again, Bitcoin is in a precarious situation. Minor target is 16,631. Next major target is 15,695. I think that's about it for today. Again, I'm not seeing that anybody else put anything in. So, shortened session, lighter viewership this afternoon with the holiday weekend. With that, all right. Patrick wants a live sector analysis. So if you're interested in that, I'll launch something at 8. We'll take a look at the overnight futures and the Europe and Asian session tomorrow morning. And then I'll probably just roll that into a sector analysis and just launch that tomorrow. Thanks for that, George. ARK had outflows of 803 million in August. Completely agree with that, AV. Geopolitical situation is explosive and it's going to get interesting. Do keep an eye. Now, I've said this going on the third time, but if you are trading the futures, keep an eye on crude tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that, George. Thank you for reminding me. The yield curve, the 10-2s. The 10-2s was a double bottom right here. You could trade this also as rolling into an inverse head and shoulders. Yes, you could trade that. And the inverse head and shoulders would be this. That's just, I mean, we know, as we've talked about before, that already the back steepening of the yield curve. Look at that. So you already have the double bottom, which it should take us back to negative 15 basis points. And then this inverse head and shoulders would take us virtually back to zero. Also, as I've talked about before, as this starts accelerating towards zero and gets above zero, generally you get the bigger breakdowns in the stock market. So please keep that in mind. So there's your 10-2s, George. Yes, you did spot that correctly. Good job. Very good. That's why we love the people who tune in here and bring up stuff that sometimes I don't talk about. Overall, watching for this will get real interesting. On the longer term time frame, we're back in the weekly rotation zone. Look at that second target on that inverse head and shoulders right by the breakdown zone and top of the weekly rotation zone. And you are going into an advanced clear path move, which then favors even the return to about 5 basis points. So we should see, even on pullbacks, some continued upside to the yield curve, which then are we going to start getting the bigger sell-off in the broad market? I am expecting it. I'm expecting the markets to really break down in the next few weeks. With that, thank you for being here. I will wrap this up. Everyone have a wonderful rest of your day. If you have tomorrow off, you can always choose to tune in or just enjoy the day off, and I will be back around. That's fine, Iron. Actually, the stock market is not gambling whatsoever, and some very decent returns come from the stock market long term. We're not in one of those decent return cycles. But to say the stock market and the futures market is simple gambling is a very naive, unsophisticated, uninformed viewpoint. So, with that, I will wrap it up for now. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Talk to everyone later. Bye for now.